You were never the problem. Not broken, not wrong, not too much, not too little. You were not damaged. You were closed. And closed is not the same as broken, not even close. Broken means something snapped. Closed means nobody tried, including you. That is the real truth. Not that the world did not see you. You did not show yourself. Not fully, not honestly, not without already expecting rejection. You were never what was missing. The opening was. And here is what that costs. Every year you spent explaining your absence. Every year you called it their fault. That they could not see you. That the world passed you over. The world cannot open what was never offered. You held back and called it protection. You stayed closed and called it self-preservation. But it was not protection. It was a choice made out of fear, dressed up as safety. You are still here. That matters. You have not missed the moment. You only think you have. The question is not whether you were enough. You always were. The question is whether you are ready to finally find out.
There is a version of you. You have seen it. Not often, but you have seen it. In the moments you forgot to play small. In the moments you forgot to doubt. In the moments you were so far in, you stopped checking if it was allowed. That version is real. Not a fantasy. Not something you imagined. Real. And you have been pushing it back for days, for months, for years. Not tomorrow, not when things settle, not when the timing is better. That version does not improve by waiting. It gets further away. Every delay costs something specific, not time in general. That version, that actual version, gets harder to reach. Not impossible, harder. Because every day you choose the current version, the postponed one gets quieter. Not gone, quieter. And one day you will work harder just to hear it again. You do not have unlimited postponements. That is not a threat. That is just how it works. The version you keep delaying is the only one that will look back on this time and feel it was worth something. Not the careful version, not the safe one, the one you keep pushing to later. Later is not guaranteed, and later is getting further from now, every single day. You have been waiting for something to change. The situation, the people around you, the conditions, the timing. You have been waiting. But the life around you was not the problem. You were inside it, not really there, going through the steps, finishing the tasks, getting to the end of the day, and calling that a life. It was not. It was the shape of a life, the schedule of one, the surface of one, without you actually in it. The life was there. You were the one not showing up. Not a judgment. That is what happens when you run on automatic long enough. You mistake movement for living. You moved every day, but were you there for it? Were you in the conversation or just in the room? Were you in the work or just doing the work? Were you in your own day or watching it pass from somewhere inside? That is the gap. Not between your life and a better one, between you and the life you already have. No new location fixes that. No new job, no new relationship,
no new start. You take yourself to all of those. The change is not out there. It was never out there. It is the decision to actually arrive in the life you already have today. You had it, all of it, the ability, the capacity, the raw material to do something real. You had it and you knew it, and you spent years talking yourself out of using it. Not because someone told you to stop, because you told yourself you should not. Too big, too much, not earned yet, not ready yet. Who do you think you are? You were the one asking that question, not the world. You. You had the capability and chose to doubt it instead. And here is what that actually cost. Not the results you did not get, not the positions you did not reach, the years, the actual years spent holding back something that was already yours. That sits in you because you felt the gap every single day between what you were doing and what you were capable of. You felt it. You just did not act on it. Not because the capability was absent, because stepping into it meant owning it. And owning it meant no more excuses, no more waiting, no more hiding behind not yet. That was the real cost, not what you lacked, what you refused to claim. The claiming is still available, waiting on the same decision, the one it has always been waiting on, yours.
You went looking for another shot, another opening, another window. You searched forward, scanning for the moment, the one that would finally work. And the whole time, the first one was still there, untouched, exactly where you left it. Not gone, not expired, not given to someone else. Waiting. The chance you passed over was patient. You were not. You moved on, looking for something new, something without the memory of your hesitation attached to it, something that felt like a clean start. But you were not ready for a clean start. You were not even done with the first one. That is why the new ones never fully opened. You kept bringing the same hesitation, the same doubt, the same quiet belief that something about you was not enough. And the original chance watched all of that from the place you left it, still waiting. Because some things do not give up on you as fast as you give up on them. The question is not whether it is too late. The question is whether you are still waiting for something new, when the real work, the original work, is still sitting where you abandoned it. You do not need a new shot. You need to go back to the one you left and actually finish it this time.
You were strong, are strong. That was never the missing piece. But strength has a cost, and you knew it. If you were strong, you had to use it. If you used it, you had to hold it. If you held it, you were responsible for what it did. And that responsibility was the thing you were not ready for. So you hid it, quietly, carefully, and told yourself you just did not have enough yet. Not ready, not there yet. Maybe next time. Strength hidden does not disappear. It costs you anyway. Because hiding something real takes effort. Every day, constant small effort to stay smaller than you are. To not take up the space that is yours. To not let it show. You were spending energy on that. Energy that could have gone into actually using what you had. And the strange thing about strength, hidden long enough, is that you start to believe the hiding. you start to feel like the smaller version is the real one, and the bigger one was a mistake, something that slipped out. It was not a mistake. The bigger version is the real one. The hiding was the performance, and performances are exhausting. You already know that. You have been doing it enough.
You wanted out, completely. A full restart, different circumstances, different history, a version of yourself that did not come with all of this. And while you were wishing for that, the life you already had was running out, slowly, from neglect, not from hardship, from absence, from you not being in it. You were not being crushed by your life. You were choosing not to live it. And that distinction matters. A hard life can be survived. An unlived life just passes, day after day, getting shorter, getting further from what it could have been. You were not living it. You were getting through it, counting down to the moment things would finally be different. But different was never coming because you were not different yet. The version of you that wanted a full restart would have dragged the same avoidance into the new one. The restart was not the answer. The answer was harder. It was to be in the life, the one you already had, fully, uncomfortably, without the exit door cracked open, not hoping it changes, actually being in it. That was the only prayer that could be answered, and only you could answer it.
You turned away from something. You know exactly what it was. You do not need it named. You already know. And you thought if you did not look long enough, it would stop being there. It is still there. Not the same as you left it. It got harder to approach, more tangled, more grown into everything around it. What was once a thing you avoided is now a thing you have to push through to get to. What you avoided did not wait kindly. It made itself harder to reach. That is not punishment. That is just what happens. When you leave something unaddressed, it does not stay still. It grows into the space around it. Now the cost of facing it is bigger than it would have been when you first turned away. That is the real price of avoidance. Not that it waits patiently, that it gets heavier. But here's what is also true. It is still there, which means it is still reachable, which means it is not too late. Heavy is not impossible. Tangled is not gone. The path got harder. It did not disappear. And the fact that it is still waiting is not a warning. It is information. Something in you knows it is worth going back for. That is why you have not stopped thinking about it.
You got good at small, really good. Small was safe. Small did not draw attention. Small did not ask too much from you or from anyone else. It worked. For a while, it kept you out of certain kinds of pain. But small is not free. Small has its own cost. And the cost is this. You know what you could have been. You have always known, and every day you stayed small, you added a little more distance between who you are and who you were built to be. Small kept you safe. It also kept you from yourself. You are past the part where small keeps you safe. Safe from what now? From the discomfort of being seen? From the pressure of owning what you are? From the responsibility of using what you have? Those are not the danger. They are the cost of being real. And you have already paid the other cost, the one that comes from avoiding them. You felt that cost in every moment you held back, in every moment someone else stepped into the space you should have filled, in every quiet night where you knew you were more than this. You still are. The size is not gone. You just got very good at not showing it. Time to get worse at hiding and better at being what you actually are. You were looking for someone to hand it to you. The right title, the right recognition, the right authority, the right person to finally say, "You earned it, now you can have it." And nothing ever came, because nothing ever comes that way, not from out there. No system built by someone else can give you what you have refused to give yourself. That is not how it works. That has never been how it works. No gate outside of you can open what you closed inside. The promotion does not do it. The degree does not do it. The number in the account does not do it. None of them do it. Because the thing you are waiting for is not a credential. It is not external. It is the decision to believe you are worth the thing before the proof arrives. That is what every person who ever built something real had to do first. Decide first, let the evidence come after. You have been doing it the other way, waiting for the evidence so you could feel allowed to decide. That order does not produce what you are waiting for, because the waiting is the problem, not the missing proof. The proof follows the decision, never the other way around.
You went backward, maybe more than once. You lost ground you had built. You went back to things you said you were done with. That happened. No version of this skips that. But here is what is different now. You are in it, actually in it, not going through it, not surviving to the end of it, not waiting for it to pass. In it. The difference between going through a life and living one is everything. And you feel that difference. The version of you from before was present in body only, ticking boxes, getting to tomorrow, calling that progress. This version, the one that went backward and came back anyway, this one is awake, not comfortable, awake, not past the hard things, in them, eyes open, feeling the weight, not running from it. That is the thing you could not buy, could not be given, could not inherit. You had to go through the going backward to find out what being present actually cost. And now you know. The going backward was not failure. It was the last stretch of sleep before something in you woke up and decided to stay awake.
There was something you put away a long time ago. Maybe because someone reacted wrong to it. Maybe because you decided it was too much. Maybe because it did not fit where you were trying to fit. So you buried it under enough layers that most days you forgot it was there. But it was always there. And that thing, the one you buried out of embarrassment, the one that did not match what the room expected, that was the most needed part of you. What you hid from the world was what the world needed most from you. Not in spite of what made it hard, because of it. The part that felt too sharp, too direct, too intense, too soft, too much. That was the part that could do something no one else in the room could do. And you hid it because showing it cost something. But hiding it cost more in the long run. It cost you the use of it, It cost the people who needed it. It cost the version of yourself that was only possible when that part was out. You do not get it back by wishing. You get it back by using it, slowly, in small places first, then bigger ones, until it stops feeling like a risk and starts feeling like the most obvious thing you have.
You waited for someone to show you, to walk you back to yourself, to see what you could not find and point you toward it. You waited a long time. Some people tried, a reflection here, a push there, something that woke you up briefly. Then it faded, and you were back to waiting. Because nobody else knew the address. Nobody else had been inside. Nobody else could tell you exactly where you went quiet, or when, or why. Only you had that. You were the only one with the map, and you refused to read it. Not because you were lazy, because reading it meant going back to the places marked on it, and some of those places hurt. So you waited for someone else to do it, to navigate you to yourself without you having to feel the places in between. That was never going to happen. Not because help is not real. Help is real, but help can only work with what you are willing to give it. And you were not willing to look, not fully, not honestly. The only way back to yourself is through yourself, not around, not via someone else's directions, through. And you are the only one who can do that walking. You have thought about it, the full reset. New city, new people, new beginning. And part of you still does, because starting over feels like relief, like the weight of everything finally being set down. But here is what moves with you every time, to every new place, into every new situation. What you have not said yet, what you have not faced yet, what you have not fully felt yet. Changing the location does not change the silence you carry. The new life does not start, not actually, not until you face what you have been dragging. Because it comes, it always comes. Quiet at first, then louder, then exactly the same as before. Different zip code, different people, same noise inside. You have done this, maybe more than once, and you know how it ends. The answer is not more distance. The answer is less avoidance. The silence that follows you, the things you have not dealt with, those are not obstacles to the new life. They are the work of the current one. And until that work gets done, you will keep arriving in new places with the same unfinished business waiting at the door.
You have been calling it potential, talking about it, referencing it, building a whole story around it. One day, when the time is right, when things are better, when you are more ready, you will do something with it. But here is what potential actually was this whole time. It was you, waiting to stop being afraid of yourself. Not potential. Fear. That was the whole thing. Fear of what you would have to become if you actually used it. Fear of what you would have to give up if you showed up fully. Fear that people would see if you stopped holding back. Fear that you would try and it still would not be enough. And then you would have no excuse left. Potential is comfortable because potential lives in the future, and the future is where you cannot fail yet. But potential never closes, never lands, never becomes real unless you decide to be afraid and move anyway. Not potential. You. Afraid. Moving anyway. That is the actual thing. Not the version you keep saving for when you feel ready. The version that goes despite not feeling it. That version has always been available. It just costs more than potential did.
You did not get here because a door finally opened, because someone finally saw you, because conditions finally aligned, because the world came around. The world did not come around. It rarely does. You got here because you stopped waiting for it to. Permission never came. You stopped needing it. That is the real story. Not the lucky break, not the right moment, not being finally recognized. The decision to move without the approval, to build without the guarantee, to claim the thing before the receipt for it showed up. That is the only reason you are where you are. Not luck, not timing. You, making a decision that was always available, but that you were not ready to make before. And now you have to hold that, not as pride, as truth. Because if it came from the decision, then the next level comes from the next decision, not from waiting again, not from hoping the world gives another opening. The opening is the decision. It always was. And now that you know that, you cannot pretend you do not. The next move is yours. It has always been yours.
Everybody had input. You let them all in. The opinions, the redirections, the corrections, the doubts they handed you, that you picked up and carried as if they were yours. You adjusted again and again to fit what the room expected, what kept the peace. And at some point, you forgot what you actually thought about any of it, about yourself, about where you were going. Your life was always yours. The pen never belonged to them. They gave opinions. You gave them authorship. Those are not the same, but you treated them like they were. And the cost of that is not just the wrong direction. It is not knowing what the right direction feels like anymore. Because you followed other people's sentences long enough that your own voice got quiet. Not gone, quiet. Getting it back is uncomfortable because it means making decisions without checking if the room agrees, without waiting for approval. Your voice does not need approval. It never did. It just needed to be used. Start there. One sentence, fully yours, no edits from the room. See what it sounds like when you stop writing for other people. You were not too late. You were never too late. That is not comfort. That is fact. The thing you were meant to do, the version of yourself you were meant to become, it did not get tired and leave. It is still there, exactly where it was. And you have been standing outside of it. Not because you did not know where it was, you knew exactly. You just kept telling yourself you did not have what it took to get in. You had the access the whole time. You chose not to use it. Not a talent gap, not a missing piece, not a closed door. A decision made every day to stay outside where it was safer, where the outcome was not yet known, where failure was still only possible, not yet real. Going in makes it real, and real can fail. Possible never does. That was the comfort and the trap. You cannot build something by standing outside of it. You cannot become who you were meant to be from a safe distance. The access was always there. The question is whether to use it, not someday, before you talk yourself back out. You kept a list. Not written down, but you kept it. Every trait that felt too much or too little or just wrong for where you were, for what the room seemed to want. You cataloged them quietly and called them problems, things to manage, things to keep out of sight. And the whole time, someone, somewhere, was looking for exactly that. What you called a flaw, someone else was calling an answer. The intensity you turned down was the exact thing someone needed to be pulled forward. The directness you softened was the truth someone else was too afraid to say. The sensitivity you hid was the thing that could read the room that no one else in the room could read. You were not wrong. You were in the wrong frame, performing a version of yourself designed to fit instead of designed to function. Stop managing the traits. Start pointing them. The things you called liabilities are capabilities. They always were. You spent years arguing against yourself when you could have been using what you already had in the places it was actually needed. That shift is available now. One trait, used honestly, unmanaged, today.
You do not need a new one. New start, new version, new direction, new life. You need to go back. Back to the version of you that you were so sure was too much. That you left. That you walked away from without looking back. Back to the one you decided was not ready, not worthy, not enough. Back to the one you buried in silence. The one you kept calling potential when what it really was you. The life ahead needs every part of you that you abandoned. Not the polished parts, not the approved ones, not the parts that made the room comfortable. All of them. The ones you called flaws, the ones you locked away to avoid responsibility, the ones you hid out of shame, the ones that held the strength you kept hiding, the ones you silenced to fit somewhere. All of them. You do not reach the full version by leaving parts behind. You only get there by going back, picking up what you dropped, and saying one honest thing. I was wrong to leave you here. Let us go. That conversation with every version of yourself you abandoned is the only beginning that holds. Not a new life, a complete one, built from everything you already are, everything you have already been through, everything you almost threw away. You did not need a rebirth. You needed to fully claim the one you already had. Now go claim it.